To all the perinatal professionals listening right now, the doulas, therapists, midwives, and educators working right here in Vermont, I know how much of your heart you pour into supporting families. But who's supporting you? Care is stronger when we work together, and that's why Vermont Birth Network was created. It's a statewide community built by Vermont providers for Vermont providers. When you join, you aren't just listing your services on a random billboard. You're linking arms with a vibrant network of local colleagues who truly get the weight and the beauty of this work in our state. It's a place to collaborate, reduce burnout, and connect with local families who need your specific expertise. Let's build a stronger, more connected Vermont birth community together. Visit vermontbirthnetwork.com and join the network today. Welcome back to Quiet Connection, a podcast dedicated to ending the stigma surrounding perinatal mental health. I'm Chelsea. Today, I'm connecting with Leah, a licensed clinical social worker and mental health professional who brings a refreshing blend of professional wisdom and punk rock energy. Despite her background in mental health, Leah found herself blindsided by postpartum anxiety and the sundown scaries after her first child was born. Leah's radical honesty is a powerful reminder that no matter your expertise, you don't have to navigate the cosmic conundrums of parenting alone. Here's Leah. Hello. Today I'm here with Leah. Leah, how are you?
Doing well. How are you?
I am good. I am going to be totally honest. Listeners, Leah and I have already been deep in a chat, and she is bringing all the energy that I need on a Friday the 13th. So
Trying
I'm,
to.
oh my gosh, I love it. I'm excited. I can already tell that we're going to vibe.
I think so too. I am very excited to be here. So thank you for having me today,
Ugh,
Chelsea, on Friday the
I
13th.
on Friday the 13th. Another for 2 in a row. I mean, maybe that's how
Oh,
it goes.
wow.
That must be how it happens when it falls in a February and a March. It must I don't
Mm-hmm.
know. I'm not a math person, so I can't, be like,
Neither am I, but
yeah,
I think there's another Friday the 13th in October, either this year or next year. I
"Guys,
think.
we don't need any more of these. Mercury is coming out of retrograde, and we don't need any more of these cosmic, conundrums, okay?"
Last week was a full moon. I also think it's like a
Oh my
thing.
god. Yes, I think it was. Yes. No. Okay. It's gonna be fine. Everything's gonna be fine.
We'll make it fine if not.
Yes, of course, absolutely. Um, well, with all of that said, I would love it if you could introduce yourself to our listeners. Let us know who Leah is today and who was Leah before starting your parenting journey.
Yeah. So, hi, everyone. Yeah, my name is Leah Wright. I am a licensed clinical social worker as well as a certified perinatal mental health therapist. I am a mom of two. I have Irish twins. They are 5 and 6 now. They are beautiful. And I'm also an autism mom. I have my son, who is 5, has autism. So, very much into trying to figure out parenting neurodiverse child and neurotypical child in that same age range. So it's an interesting journey, but it is what it is in a lot of ways, right?
Yeah.
And I also bring a lot of that into my work as well. I specialize just overall in perinatal mental health, but, all scopes of women's mental health as well, but all scopes of, trying to conceive through going through, the IVF process, grief and loss, mood and anxiety disorders through pregnancy, parenthood, and postpartum, just every season of life in parenthood, as well as parenting children who have special needs and sex therapy for after baby. So couples who just given birth and how they can get their groove back with each other.
Yeah. Yeah,
So
that is not one that we talk about often enough, I think.
yeah, it's a definitely a topic that feels like it's not. I mean, it is out there, right? And there are
Yeah.
people who do talk about it and stuff, but it's not one of the main focuses I think that people discuss. So, yeah, I just, would love to be added into that as a therapist or just a voice of just bringing that to light a little bit more. And also before parenting, I, was in grad school trying to figure life out, right? Like at first I was an artist and wanted to be in just that art scene. And, I love punk music and I used to make clothes and, you know, feeling a little bit more free, I guess, right? Like a little bit
Yeah.
more like what are responsibilities in a lot of ways, right?
Yes.
And then um even, like, through I started my grad school program in when I was, like, 26, 27, and even then, I was like, "I'm just going through life," right, and just trying to
Yeah.
figure out as, like, a mid-twenty-something chick in Philly. It was fun, and then, you know, I met my husband, who is such a gem of a human, and then we just started our journey together, and, responsibilities really hit.
Yeah. You sound like the type of person that I would've wanted to spend all my time with in college. Like, that that was so my thing. Like, I mean, I am not I will never claim to be artistic in any way, like, I can't make clothes, I can't draw to save my life, I can't paint or anything, but I,
Yeah,
like
I couldn't either, I kinda just faked it.
oh my god, I can't even fake it, but, like, performing arts and stuff, and the performing arts kids and the, like, creative arts kids we weren't kids, we were in college. At least at my school,
Still
we were,
felt
like
like you were kids though,
well,
right?
we did I mean, I think we were. We were children, but yeah, like, at least where I went to school, like, we were all this big unit, and yeah, we were listening to punk, and we were listening to rock, and we were staying up until 3 o'clock in the morning because our friends were playing at coffee house, and, like
Yes.
right? Like, that feels
Mhm.
like 3 lifetimes ago
It
now.
really does, right? When you think back to that time, it's like, how I can't believe it was that long ago, right? Like, I can't even
No.
fathom being back there, right? Even though there's times where, like, you know, my husband and I will always joke, like, "Oh my god," like, when we used to live in, like, a small apartment when it was just us before kids, and we always, like, talk about, like, that apartment, and that was, like, such, like, a fun time with, like, really no responsibilities, right? I mean, yeah, there were responsibilities where I had to pay rent and, still be, like, a human, but, like, not how it is today. I
Mhm.
think things really, for us hit when our daughter was born, and I think that's when a lot of things kind of shifted a lot with just with me and not with each other per se, because we were always really connected. It was more of just like both of our moods shifted in a lot of ways of with like more depression, anxiety coming up.
Yeah, so let's talk about that a little bit, as much as it's fun to reminisce about the
Yeah,
good old days. I hate saying that, that makes me
I
think of, like, my
know.
parents, right? Like, the
I
good old days.
know.
Um, so let's talk about that a little bit. Let's talk about, like, first and foremost, did you always envision yourself having kids?
Yes and no. Like,
Okay.
there were a lot of parts of my life, especially younger, where, I did struggle with anxiety, like, as a teenager and, early adulthood, and I always thought to myself, like, "There's no way I could take care of kids. Like, I can't even take care of myself." It was always kind of, like, in the back of my mind of, "Maybe I'll have kids, maybe not," right? Especially when, like, before I met my husband, like, dating and just, like, I can't I was like, "I don't know if I'll ever find anyone," right? It's just
Yeah.
I don't know. You know what? One time, though, that actually hit me that I did want kids was it was, I was 27. It was, like, right before again, right before I met my husband. I found out, and this might sound a little odd, but my brother was having his 3rd kid, I found out, and I was so happy for them because I love love my family. I'm very lucky to have a close family, but I was so happy, but I got off the phone after they called me, and I started to get really sad because I was like, "I don't even have a partner. I'm 27 years old." Now looking back as someone who's now actually 37, I was so young back then still, right? Like, I couldn't
Yeah.
even fathom thinking about a 20. I know a lot of times, like, people can have children at all stages of life and adulthood, right? And I just sat there and I started crying and I was like, I do think I want a child, but I feel like, am I getting to that age where I'm too old? Because you always hear people talk about when you were younger, you have to have a baby by 30. If you're 30
Mm.
and you're not married or have children, there's something wrong with you. Even though now that I'm, as getting older and in my 30s, there is no, like people can have
No.
children and get married at any stage of life, even in their 40s, right? And
Mhm.
that societal norm really, like, got to me then, and I think that's when it really hit me. Yeah, I do really want kids. Again, I didn't know what that implied, right? But I
Mhm.
think just the emotional part of it really hit me, and that's when I
Yeah.
decided, I was like, "No, this is it." But before, it was very much, "I don't know, maybe if it happens, it happens." It wasn't something that it was like a dream to have children
Yeah.
until that moment.
It wasn't like something that was always like, "Oh, yeah, that's my goal. We're gonna
Yeah.
have kids. I'm gonna
Mhm.
have, like, 5 kids." Yeah.
Exactly. Mhm.
Yeah. No, I
And again,
totally
people
get that.
have that, right? Which is
Yeah.
great, right? For me, it was, like, a little different.
Yeah, absolutely. And then so you met your husband, you met your partner.
Met my husband, great, right? And things actually happen super fast, right? We met we moved in 4 months from meeting. Actually, I kinda just, like, moved my stuff into his apartment, and then he moved into my apartment 4 months later, and then, we got engaged a year later and got pregnant a year later in March of 2019 and got
Oh,
married. Well, I got pregnant in March. I found out I was pregnant in March of 2019. But we were setting up for our wedding that was supposed to be in June. It was a very weird few months. And
yeah.
I was, we were all elated, right? Like we were so excited. And again, we did talk about because we were waiting until I was finishing grad school. I was finishing grad school in 2019. I was set to graduate, which I did. Yeah, I didn't really
Woohoo.
stop. Yeah. And I found out I was supposed to my graduation was in May. I found out in March, and again, we're just really excited. We're like, "This is great," right? And it was just it was just a fun year of just, like, new things happening. It was a lot at once, but I feel like we were so in it that it didn't really hit us.
Yeah.
And so, we went through the wedding. We then after the wedding, we got ready for my daughter and her arrival, and she came November 20. My God, I can't believe I'm forgetting. November 26th, 2019. And I it was funny because all, you always hear about postpartum depression, and again, growing up in the 90s, early 2000s, people really thought that postpartum depression, or at least in the media, I don't think everyone thought this, but again, in the media, and what I thought of it was this idea of like postpartum psychosis, right? Like
Mm.
that's what I vision postpartum was, which again, very not true at all,
Mhm.
right? And so when people like I did have, someone asked like, "Are you scared about postpartum depression?" And I'm like, "What? What is that?" Right? And it's interesting because I was already like a therapist at that point, right?
Yeah.
But we didn't talk about postpartum depression or maternal mental health, right? At least in my grad program. And I did enjoy my grad program, but we didn't, really have that knowledge at all. And so I really didn't know much about it. And I was like, no, I don't think so. 'cause again, yeah, I struggled with anxiety, but I didn't really struggle so much with depression before. I
Yeah.
had my moments, right? But, I wasn't worried about it. And then I had my daughter and I was so scared. I was really scared that day. I was getting induced because she was a little late. And so I went in, I was getting induced, and before she came, my husband was like, "We're gonna be parents." And I started crying. And I feel like in that moment, I was like, "Oh my god, I'm gonna miss him." Right, because we just got married,
Mm.
right, and
Mhm.
everything was still so new, right, and she came it was amazing. You know, nothing really extravagant for, about the birth, right? I mean, she took 24 hours to come out, which was annoying, but, you know but yeah, it was not a it was like it was a nice experience in a lot of ways, right? And I think that night I was like I was just so tired, right? And I just didn't know what to do. I was really scared to, like, have her, but I figured that was normal, right? And a lot of times too, and I remember before I had her, I was like, "I I don't want a lot of people coming in." Like, I was trying to set boundaries, with, family members or friends or anything like that just to, because, I've thought, I just wanna be with my baby and my husband. But I started noticing because at that time, it was right before COVID, so people
Yeah.
were able to come in and out typically, right? The hospital had their set times. And I remember that night when I had her, my mother-in-law, my brother-in-law came because they were close by the hospital. So they came to, like, see the baby, and I remember when they were leaving, really I got kinda nervous that they were leaving. And then the next day, I was like, "Hmm, maybe, it's just." Again, I never had a baby before, so maybe it was just this weird feeling I was getting. Then every day after well, not every day after that, but, like, the next morning, we had friends come, then my parents came, and my brother and sister-in-law came, and then my mother-in-law and brother-in-law came back, right? So, like, we had family coming in and out, which was great, and the nurses were there, but then when people would leave, it was that same feeling I would get. I was getting a little nervous for them leaving. And it was a weird feeling because a lot of times people kept saying, "You're gonna connect right away. Like, this is gonna be just like this connection that's just this wild love." And I did love her, but it was definitely something that felt like I think I was looking for something else,
Mhm.
right? Of like, where is this powerful connection? I just wanna be near my baby. I'm scared that everyone's leaving. And so and I didn't know what to do, and I was having a hard time also breastfeeding as well. And so there was, like, lactation consultants coming in the hospital that I gave birth at, they're very pro breastfeeding, which is
Mm.
it can be great, right? Like, fed is best. And
Mhm.
so I had this idea that I had to breastfeed, right? But I wasn't able for some reason, I couldn't get a latch. She wouldn't latch. The I was It was in pain. Like, I was in a lot of pain
Mm.
'cause I tore. And, it was just not my body was just feeling really off. And I remember I started to get really upset because I was like, I can't figure out how to feed my baby, right? So
Yeah.
it was a weird experience. And I started to feel like, okay, I'm also feeling like I am already failing, right? When again, that's one of the first decisions we make as a mom. And if I'm unable to make this decision, how am I going to make decisions of anything else? So it was a weird experience being in the hospital the first few days. And we got home and it was Thanksgiving Day.
Mhm.
And I was really excited to go home. Again, very scared. We get home. My mother-in-law, my brother-in-law actually made us, like, a Thanksgiving meal before they went to, like, a Thanksgiving like, their own
Yeah.
Thanksgiving thing, which was so sweet, right? Like, it was so
Yeah.
nice, and we got home, we were really excited, my dog was very angry, you know, and I eh, for some reason, again, it was I would same feeling, they left, and I was scared, I didn't know what to do, it's like, "Okay, now what?" Right? and I could not get her to self-soothe. Well, again, I know I was trying to figure out how to self-soothe her. I know she was hungry, but I was still like, it was not, she was unable to breastfeed still. Like, I was unable to figure it out, and I was in so much pain. And I go
Mhm.
to the bathroom, and I had to go to the bathroom, and you know that whole thing when all the things, the
The first
accessories of
time,
being tore.
yes, and all the yeah.
And because I tore, it was really painful. So I'm in the bathroom, and I just I break down crying. And I'm like, "How am I supposed to do this?" It was a complete mind fuck, right? And I
Yeah.
go downstairs, and it's like one of those things too where you're also so exhausted from giving birth, right? We went to the hospital I went in to get induced on the 25th. She came on the 26th, and then we got home, I think it was the 28th, right? So I haven't been home.
Mhm.
And so, like, all I wanted to do was just sit with my, watch TV. It was like, we're getting to Christmas time, right? And again, I wanted to also be with my baby, but I didn't know how to because I didn't know what to do. And, my mom, unfortunately, she was going through cancer at the time. She's great now. She's cancer free. It's wonderful. But,
Good.
she was unable to still come at that time. Right. Which, again, no fault
Mhm.
of her own by any means. And I thought that I was fine to do it on my own because I didn't think anything, I didn't really know much about what this experience was going to be like. It was I was constantly just crying, and I didn't know what to do. I didn't know how to put her down. I would get very scared. I got, like, those sundown scaries every night.
Mhm.
It was I and it's like it was a weird mix because it's like, I really love her. I don't know how to love her, though, and I'm also very sad and scared, and I'm just feeling every single emotion, and I didn't wanna say anything to anyone. I kinda was just like a shell of myself. My husband noticed, right? And he was really supportive. Like I said, he's a gem of a human in my mind, right? Where, like, he kept checking in on me. He kept saying, like, "Are you okay? Like, I'm worried." All at the same time, he was also experiencing a lot of, like, emotional shifts as well, which I thought was really interesting because 'cause I'm like, I didn't know men at that time could get postpartum depression, but
Mhm.
he was experiencing anxiety, and I do think and this that can happen where I think that was also because, like, what I was experiencing, and it just kind of it was great at times, right? Like, we did have our moments, and it was also it felt really scary for me at many times, right? But,
Yeah.
I think what really got me of getting the help I needed was on our first date night out after she was born. My mother-in-law came and watched the baby when we went to go see the Star Wars movie. She's a big Star Wars. Not so much anymore, but that time, yes. And so we went and I was like kind of myself again a little bit, right? Like, still nervous about leaving her, right? Because there's still that, like, you're still that mom, right? Like, you still
Yeah.
have these like a million emotions. Like, yes, I still love her. I still want her to be okay. And I just want to be out with my husband, not doing anything else, right? And we go to dinner. We were going to do dinner and a movie. We go to dinner and, I'm like, "Crap, dinner's done. We're going to the movie now." I'm like, "Oh my god, the movie's gonna be done soon." Like, I just kept thinking that, and I get home, and my mother-in-law said she was great,
Mhm.
and I'm like, "Okay, good." Like, maybe, this is great. Maybe we'll get some sleep tonight. I think a lot of it was, like, the lack of sleep.
Mhm.
And when she left, then my daughter started crying again, and I said, "Oh my god, like, is it me?" Like, then I started to feel so guilty, and I said out loud, and I didn't mean to say it out loud, but it just came out, like, "I think I made a mistake. I made a
Mm.
mistake." And my husband then looked at me and was like, I am really worried about you. Like, you really need to get some help. He's like, we didn't make a mistake. You didn't make a mistake. But hearing that is scary.
Mm.
basically. Like, you can't like, and so that was like a light bulb moment, and I did get the help that I needed, right? The professionals were wonderful. I was, had family come over. My parents came over a lot more. My, in-laws came and will watch the baby sometimes just to help me like at least get some sleep during the
Yeah.
day. And then eventually things kind of just like went into place a little bit, right? I was still really anxious, but the depression went like decreased a lot. Talked to my OB. I got on Zoloft, did stopped breastfeeding. We bottle fed. That was a huge help for me. I healed, right, physically. And as soon as all that happened, and it was like 3 months into, postpartum, found out I was pregnant again.
Yeah.
And I went back to work as well. And I was a
Whoa.
therapist. Yeah, and I was a therapist at a methadone clinic. And so again, it was a lot, right?
Yeah.
I absolutely though, I will say I did enjoy the work as well. It was like there was something very rewarding, and it's interesting too because I heard a lot of stories from clients as well who was a lot of women who talked about their postpartum depression and anxiety, how their recovery might have suffered because of, struggles in motherhood or, the systems that we're in, especially with some of the healthcare professionals, like at the hospitals and the stigma that these women would have to go through because of just their own struggles of like, having, challenges with substances, right? Like, it's one of those things where a lot of like, sometimes it's like, yeah, you get hurt and the doctor gives you something and then it just kinda goes from there, right? But just because like, the medical professionals should not treat women like that or anyone like that
No.
or that
No.
stigma. So, like, I heard and again, it was still interesting because a lot of these women still felt like because of these systems, they didn't get a lot of the help that they needed through their pregnancy or postpartum, or even when they did experience a loss. It was very much like, well, it was your fault. Right. And it's not,
Mm.
you know, even like going through my experience and what I I went through, right? As someone who is privileged in a lot of ways, and then seeing how it also really affects women, any birthing person, I should say, right?
Mhm.
Birthing person in so many other areas. That was especially like in this area, I was like, I want to learn more about this, right? Like the therapist brain was like turning. I was like,
Yeah.
this is interesting. So I did a lot more research on my own. I started taking trainings. I took Karen Kleiman's training, who wrote Good Moms Have Scary Thoughts, is one of my favorite postpartum books. I got, then I started doing PSI trainings and just got myself immersed in this population and realize and learn so much of the struggles that birthing people go through all the time and any population, right? Birthing people in the LGBTQ plus community, right?
Mhm.
Dads, people who are struggling with substances, right? And
Yep.
not just, that depression, right? It's more of all of the other disorders that can affect people who can give birth and, what they experience, birth trauma,
Yeah.
how everything, go trying to conceive, right? IVF and what that can do, right? And it's definitely, these topics people might not want to talk about, but it's important that we talk about it and bring light to these things so we can, you know, really like help people feel less isolating. 'Cause
Yeah.
that's another thing too, when I was going through my postpartum journey, it was a very isolating experience, even though I had family around, friends around, right? You still feel like during the day, it's like there's so much to do, but there's nothing to do, and I'm so bored,
Mhm.
right? And then when I got pregnant again, I was really scared, and I was like, "I don't think I could do this again." We always wanted more than one child. We're like, we definitely wanna, give our daughter like a sibling. We didn't know what that looked like, whether that be, you know, 2 or 3, whatever, right? I mean, now it's like we're 2 and done.
Yeah.
But even though there's a part of me that would love another one, but who knows? Anyway,
Who knows?
who knows? But, when you know, we were just we're didn't know if it was, like, the right time just because of what I was experiencing, my husband was experiencing, like, it was just we were in, like, a South Philly row home that was not, big, right? And so
Yeah.
we I said, "You know what? Let's ride with it. Let's see what happens," right? We were both on board, and then, like, after a few days of, like, thinking about what we should do, or like, we got excited again, and I think that's kind of what also sparked me of, like, continuing to get my own personal support and help, as well as doing, like, my own, like, trying to advance my career in this specific population and talking to other moms and feeling connected, right? Of just like, oh, you experience this too. This is something that we can relate to in a lot of ways that people don't want to talk about, right? And
Yeah.
so it was just a very, even with my second it's still a positive experience, right? I struggled on my own after that because of just some of the like the milestones that he was not reaching. I was
Mhm.
very much comparing it to my daughter, and then just my own journey of like his diagnosis, and that a lot of my things that I experienced postpartum came back when I noticed my son struggling,
Yeah.
and some of the isolation, the confusion. I felt connected to him at that time, and I'm very connected with my daughter, I just have to say. She's my bestie, love her to death. We have an amazing relationship, and same with my son. But with that, it was so hard figuring out services, and I was confused, and, the isolation and people not understanding. So, a lot of that came back again, but, you know, going through professional help, and also too of, like, even putting myself, getting into bringing that population to my career, doing my own research, and then helping and connecting with other, like, people who are experiencing this has also been very, rewarding in a lot of ways.
Yeah. You literally just, like, hit every single bullet point on your like, you are a pro at sharing your story, number
I
1,
just felt I
like,
kept talking. I do
that's
apologize.
no. So I say this to everyone every time I have a guest that was like, "Oh my god, I'm sorry, I just had word vomit." I'm like, "Do you understand that that is the best thing that you can have?" Like, for you to be able to share your story and your experience with your full chest, and for me to be able to take it in and not have to, like, poke and prod and be like, "Okay, all right, how are we gonna" like, you own your story, and there are so many parts of it that I want like, I've been, like, pinging in my brain while you've been talking. Like, so, like, to highlight from the very beginning, like you said, like, first of all, there's this overarching theme for you of even before you had kids, you're like, "Yeah, we're just gonna do this. I'm all in. We're gonna do
Yeah.
this." Yeah, and you kind of approached the whole motherhood journey and your journey with your partner in the same way. You're like, okay, yep, we're doing this. This is what we're doing."
Mhm.
Um, so that's on brand.
Very much
But
on brand, right? And it does
yes.
get me in trouble sometimes. It's like, I want like, I'm a Libra, so it's like, I wanna be spontaneous, but then, like, I'm like, "I don't know if this is great once I'm in it." Very much
Yeah,
in brand.
I feel that. But then something we've also talked about this in the past, on the show, but I think it's so important to highlight, especially for professionals in the mental health field and like you said, like, licensed clinical social workers. Correct me if I'm wrong because I haven't checked recently, and by recently, I mean, like, within the last year, but especially at that time, perinatal mental health disorders were not even classified in the DSM. They were like a subsection of a subsection of depression. No specific training in terms of for you to get your license or to graduate. There's no training in perinatal mental health. Um, those of us in this sphere are trying to change that. Yeah, and
Wonderful things that are coming out now, but
yes.
back then, there wasn't a lot.
No. No, and just like you said, like, when you thought of postpartum depression, you saw the sensationalized version of postpartum psychosis, which
Yes,
isn't even how postpartum psychosis even presents itself every time, like the Hollywood version.
exactly. Ugh,
Right. So you didn't have an understanding of it, and you're coming from a mental health background, and I think that that's really important to highlight.
yes,
Um, especially when you come back to the points when you're talking about, like, I started having all this anxiety even in the hospital, and as a mental health professional, you can recognize them as signs of anxiety, but you weren't able to be like, "Oh, maybe this is postpartum anxiety, or maybe this is," because now we have, like you said, you mentioned it, like, we have all these diagnoses. We have postpartum PTSD, we have postpartum OCD, postpartum psychosis, but I could list the whole
yes.
thing. I am
Mhm.
also a PSI, support person and peer mentor, so, like, I've got the whole, speech memorized, but we won't go there. Um,
Such a great
the
organization.
oh my god, PSI is doing amazing things, and
Love it.
I'm so honored and fortunate to be connected with them, and I'm so glad that you're connected with them. Um,
They are, yeah, they're amazing. So I'm so glad to
yeah,
hear that you are too. So
I
heck
am.
yeah.
I'm a peer support group leader, and I am recently, certified as an Alma peer mentor, so I am now
Oh,
doing behavioral activation therapy with perinatal people, so
oh,
that's exciting.
wonderful.
Yeah, it's not my story, it's not my time, but I think it's important to highlight because I think we have this vision of people working in the mental health field, like, they should have this figured out, right? They should know what to look for, and they should know what to do, and I think when you're in the throes of it, it doesn't matter what your profession is, it doesn't matter what you do, it doesn't matter if you're an OB or a gynecologist. If you're experiencing these things, they're real, and
Yes.
you can't see the forest for the trees, right? Like, you're so consumed by it. And I wanted to highlight, you said so much. You have a village. You have this
Yeah.
beautiful village. And we talk so much about how that village really doesn't exist for a lot of us, and we have to build it
Right.
ourselves. But even if you have a village, it is still valid. Your experience postpartum is still valid. You could have all the
100.
help in the world, all the help in the
Yeah.
world, and still be
Yeah.
scared out of your mind. You talked about the sundown scaries, that hit home every day at 7 p.m. I would collapse on the floor, and it was like my husband's like, "Do I hold the baby? Do I hold my part? Like, what are we doing here?" So,
Right.
like, yeah, so I'm just like, I'm highlighting these things to, and you said it too, to normalize the conversation around them.
Yes.
To They should not be stigmatized, because, like you said, it is so common. And we like to say, as you know through PSI, it's not normal, but it is common.
Yes, exactly. Yes. And, again, with like this house Hollywood would sensationalize like um postpartum depression as psychosis, right? There is that fear of if I say anything, or people notice, right? Someone's
Mhm.
going to take my baby away, right? And so that again, that's another reason why it can feel so scary, right? And
Yeah.
I heard this too, and you were saying it was like there's not a lot of people really, like, especially professionals, understand maternal mental health. One of the first things that I heard when I took um, Karen Kleinman's training back, I think it was like 2021, or yeah, 21. She says like you would never be able to tell a mom, like a mom or a birthing person is struggling by just looking at her
Mhm.
at all. Right. And so, and again, that can be for anyone else or a lot of people, but like, especially with this, it's like never say, I'm struggling.
I think
Right.
we're starting to see it a little bit more,
Yes.
and that may be the I sometimes I go back and forth of whether the tide is really shifting a little bit or if it's because we're in this sphere that we're starting to like when you buy a car and then you start to see that car everywhere,
Yes.
right? So, like,
Yes.
I'm really hoping that the needle is moving a little bit and that more parents are starting to talk about it and that it's not, "I bought the car and now I'm seeing it everywhere."
Yes. I
But
hope so too.
yes, but truly, truly, I mean, I feel like there is a shift sort of if we wanna get into, like, social media, it's less of we're seeing less there's still a lot of families and, like, family influencers that are showing this, like, Pinterest perfect life, but I feel like there's a lot more they're calling themselves, like, de-influencers and showing, like, "This is my messy house. This is
Yeah.
me, I haven't showered in 3 days. This is me serving, frozen chicken nuggets for the 3rd day in a row, and
Yep.
that's okay, and this is okay, and it's okay to
Yeah.
ask for help." And I appreciate that so much because it's like,
I do
yes,
too.
I feel seen, I feel like and we need more of that, right? And
Yes.
you mentioned your husband was going through his own mental health stuff, and maybe, like you
Yeah.
said, maybe that was a little bit of mirroring, maybe it was a little bit of, like, feeding off of your energy, but partners, non-birthing parents are just they are also susceptible to postpartum mental health disorders.
Right.
And
Mhm.
that and there's this whole you can go into the whole, like, biology of it. They're obviously not experiencing a hormone crash in the same way that the birthing
Right.
person is, but that brings in the environmental factors and, like,
Of course. Yes. The
right.
adjustment pieces of it.
Yes, and it's so important to acknowledge that. It's important to acknowledge that our partners are also going through a shift. So whereas the birthing people are experiencing matrescence, which should be in the freaking dictionary,
It really
um
should. Oh, man, it should.
Our partners are also experiencing things and their mental health journeys are valid as well. So like I said, like I love it when my guests can share their journey full chest and I don't have to like butt in at all. I get to just sit back and take it in.
Good.
No, I do because just like anyone listening right now. And this is a big reason why I do very minimal research on my guests beforehand, is because I get to sit with you and share space, and I get to experience this along with whoever's listening right now.
Yeah.
And
No.
that's a privilege. Like,
Yeah.
I feel honored to be able to sit with you in this and to hear about it. And
And
yeah.
again, with this idea of like connection, right? It feels very much like a safe space that you're providing, right? And also a connection in a way where it's like, yeah, you get it, right? Like, I don't have to feel scared to express my story to you, right? Going back real quick, and I know
I
like
want you to. I want you
with
to.
the idea, that's why I also really do enjoy working with couples because in this period as well, because of just that full scope of everything, right? Of like, yes, there's mood and anxiety disorders with the birthing person, but the non-birthing person is also experiencing it. And that tends to get unseen. And again, and I know again it looks different in a lot of ways, but as we're, we give birth, we're also trying to learn who this little human is that we created. We're also trying to learn who we are now because of this huge transformation and transition that we went through. We are very much different people than we were before we gave birth. And we also have to learn who our partner is as a parent now, right? And
Mhm.
so there's like these 3 components, but that component tends to get lost a little bit. And it might not be the main thing, right? But it's still a component, right? And that's
Yeah.
why where I see a lot of couples struggle in that sense, right? Because we're seeing our partner in a lot of ways sometimes as like who they were pre-baby as well. And
Mhm.
so it's a lot of brain capacity, right? It's a lot to
Yeah, it's
think about
overload.
overload, right? And that's why I said it just kind of gets a little bit it might not be like the main focus, right? But it's still a focus. It's still like a component of these things, right? So it's just an interesting thing I noticed working with couples during the postpartum period.
Yeah, absolutely. And again, like when you said that you were working with couples and in the ways that you're working with couples, I think that that is a niche that is incredible and is needed.
Yeah.
I want to very briefly, and I, I wouldn't, I'd give it so much more time if we had all day because
Right.
I could keep talking to you all day, but I wanna briefly talk about the parallel that you, mentioned, like, when your son it was your son, correct? I my
Yeah.
brain dies all the time. Okay.
You're totally fine.
Um, when your son received his diagnosis and when you were realizing he wasn't hitting his milestones, and how that kind of paralleled for you in terms of your mental health. You were realizing, like, you had these anxieties and these fears again, and
Mhm.
how valid that is and how challenging that must have been to navigate. Like you said, you have Irish twins, so you have 2 very young kiddos. It's hard not to compare when they're that close in age.
Oh my god,
And
right.
then and if it's something that's completely outside of your, like, area of expertise, um, I'll be completely vulnerable with you, and, my oldest also has autism and ADHD, and, I was an intensive needs special educator. I worked in intensive needs special education for 10 years, and
Yeah.
I didn't see it at the
Yeah.
time.
Right?
Um, so, again, it's just like working in mental health and not recognizing maternal mental health, right? Like,
Right.
sometime right, so you I just wanna acknowledge 'cause you said, like, the grief that kind of came along with that, that is so valid, and even it just goes to show, like, even if you're in it in your day to day, it's different with your own kid. It's
For
different with your
sure.
own kid.
Oh,
Yeah.
for sure. Like when there is that, the meltdowns, right? And
Mhm.
trying to work with him on like regulation. And I'm trying to stay regulated for him. And I feel like, again, you can feel like you're failing your child, right? I'm like, but I
Mhm.
do this for a living, right? Like
Yeah.
I am trained in like DBT. So like I'm trained in the
Oh, I
emotional
love DBT.
skills. I love DBT. I'm also
DBT
trained in
saved my
EMDR.
life.
I'm newly trained in EMDR and I'm like,
Ugh.
this is amazing too. I
Yes.
love it. But I love DBT as well. I think it's a skill that I feel like we should have at day one as we're born. But
Yeah. But anyway,
I
sorry.
right. But I can't figure it out at that
Mhm.
with him. And it just makes you feel like, how can I can't like what am I doing? Like this is my
This is what I'm
career, but
supposed
with
to
my
be good
son,
at.
this is what I'm supposed to be
Yeah.
good at. And the thing is, it's funny because it's like I'm supposed to be good at being a mom, right? This idea of like being a good mom. And I have been a therapist for like 10 years at this point, right? I
Yeah.
should know what I'm doing. And I don't, right? And
It's
well, in
totally
that
different.
capacity,
You
right?
do
It's
right, you
very
do
different.
when you go to work, you are an expert in your field, you know what you're doing, and then you come home and it's a whole new world. It's
Whole
a
new world.
whole new world.
Mhm.
I because autism presents differently in girls, I distinctly remember telling the pediatrician at the 2-year check or the 2 or 3-year check when they do the autism screening, I'm like, "Absolutely not." I was like, "She's fine. I am a special educator. She's okay." And then noticing things as she got older and thinking to myself, like, I'm only seeing this because, like, I'm making this up in my head, like, because I do this for a living. And then I'm sure you can relate to this, and any parent who is parenting a neurodiverse child can, even if you know in your heart, you receive the diagnosis, and it isn't like, for me at least, it wasn't like oh god, like, it wasn't like, "Oh, no, this is like a life sentence kinda thing," but it's more like, "I should have known,"
Yes.
right? Like,
Ye
how did I not know,
eh,
right?
100%. And even too, right, there could be that, like I was going through that as well. There was that part of me when we were going into the evaluation. It's like, "I think it's there. I think he does have it." But
Yes.
then you don't really wanna know, right? So then when you do leave and you get it, that comes up so much more. It's like, why didn't I know? And then why didn't I
Yeah.
trust myself?
Yes. Yep.
Right.
So I wanted to touch on that because
Yeah,
it
100%.
ties I mean, obviously, it's a big part of your journey. It ties into this whole not only maternal mental health, but just parenting in general.
Yes.
Everything is a challenge. The
And every
whole
season
job,
and
every
stage.
season is different. That's something that I think is also can be very hopeful and for some people can also be um, not so hopeful. So, I have had a lot of parents ask me like, "When does this get easier? When does it get easier?" Because, like I said, I have a 10-year-old and a 3-year-old. And I'm like, I'd love to tell you that it all gets easier. It just changes. So, the
Yep.
things that are hard today are not gonna be hard a month from now,
Right.
but you're gonna find something else that's gonna challenge you a little bit.
Exactly. Like,
Yeah.
everything it will always even when they are teenagers or in their 20s,
Yeah.
there's gonna be things that come up that are gonna be challenging. It's a
Yeah.
very motherhood is a never-ending thing. It's like that constant, like, letting go, but also experiencing new things as it comes. It's an interesting journey.
Yeah, and then we're still on it. I mean, we're
Yeah.
never gonna not be on it.
Yep.
Um, and I think it'll be especially interesting for you, and I'm not sure, like, my youngest is 3, so I'm not throwing anything. She's just feral and 3, so I
Right.
don't know who she's gonna be. But for you to be parenting a neurotypical kiddo and a neurodiverse kiddo who are so close in age, who are gonna be going through some of these ages and stages at the same time, but experiencing them very differently, I think that that's gonna be an experience in and of itself.
Yeah, we're already, like, noticing it too, like, she's going to, birthday parties. He's hasn't been invited to birthday parties, and he's noticing, he's like, "Oh, I wanna go birthday party," and it's like, "How about we go to the park?" Right? Like,
Yeah,
and it's just
yeah,
you can just kinda, like, pick up, like, "Oh, man, this might be challenging when they're a little older."
yeah. Yeah, I mean, I have full confidence that you're a badass. You're right with
Sure
your
you
whole
will.
oh, thank you. I don't feel it, but I'm gonna take it. I'm gonna take it. But, like, just like I said earlier, like, that's on brand for you, and I'm just getting to know you in the last hour, but just your whole sense of, like, "Yep, this is gonna be what it's gonna be, and we're just gonna do it."
Mhm.
And I think that is only gonna be to your benefit and to your kids' benefit for sure as they grow up and as you grow as a mom.
Thank you.
Um, I love these sessions where I literally could spend the whole day with you if I could.
I could too. Oh my god,
Oh
I
my
really could, like, chat
god.
with you for hours and hours.
Oh my gosh. Well, also that I mean, that is the highest form of praise I can receive. Like, if like you said earlier, like, that you feel safe in sharing, that makes me feel, I'm so humbled and I'm so grateful. Um, Unfortunately, every podcast episode does have to end.
Ugh, I know.
Um, I know. We're not like those like, my husband listens to D&D podcasts that go on for, like, 3 or 4 hours,
Yep.
and I'm like, I don't think any mom has the capacity to listen for that long.
No, I wish we
Yeah,
did.
I wish we did
I
too,
love
like,
it.
oh my god. But, okay, so what I'm gonna do before I get to my wrap up question, I'm going to ask you, and all of this will be linked in the show notes. If my listeners want to learn more about you and kind of follow along in your journey, where's the best place for them to look?
On Instagram, my, Instagram handle is Self-Care Therapy and Wellness, which is also my practice name. And I'm going to start to have blog posts on my website, like, and newsletters coming out. And I want to do a lot more blog posts about like parenting children on the spectrum and sex therapy when it comes to pregnancy and postpartum and just all different stages of parenthood as well, and mental health and how to take care of yourself as well. So on Instagram, self care therapy and wellness, as well as selfcaretherapyandwellness.com.
Love it. I will continue to be following along. I'm excited for these blog posts. I'm all about the blogging.
Me too.
Um, oh, yeah. So those will be in the show notes. Listeners, please check the show notes. And so now I have started doing the ends of my episodes differently. We're going back, like you said, we're the same age. So growing up in the 90s, we know the days before cell phones, the days before text message, when you had to call. And if the person wasn't there, first you had to hope their parents didn't answer. And then you
Yeah,
had to leave a message on the answering machine, right? Like, or else they never knew that you called. So
exactly.
right. So you don't know who my next guest is going to be. You don't know anything about them. You don't know if they're a mom, if they're a dad, what's going on. But you called Quiet Connection today and they weren't here to answer. So you got to leave them a message. And you can interpret that in any way. You can interpret it as a message you want them to know. You can interpret it as just like an affirmation, literally anything. I've never got the same answer twice.
Okay.
Um, and it's my little challenge, and the fun part is you will have to go to this episode before yours to receive your message and see if it
Mm,
resonates.
okay.
So, right? So it's a little experiment that I'm doing. Um, but yeah, what message are you going to leave for my next guest?
Is it like a message that's like life in general?
Anything you want it to be.
Anything?
Yep.
Oh, okay. My message is celebrate small wins, always be kind to yourself, and um, if you ever need anything, listen to some good punk rock music.
Yes. Listen to some punk rock, shut yourself in the bathroom for a little while, and just
Cry,
let it out.
but no matter what, things will pass.
Mhm. Ugh. Beautiful, beautiful, beautiful. Thank you so much for that. Thank you
Oh,
for
of course.
sharing your story and your time and your space with me, and
Of course. Thank you for having me.
of course, I can't wait. I can't wait to stay connected.
Same here.
Leah, you remind us that motherhood is a transformation where we aren't just raising children, but rediscovering ourselves. I really enjoyed connecting with you, and I can't wait to keep following your journey. You can follow Leah's work at Self-Care Therapy and Wellness on Instagram or visit selfcaretherapyandwellness.com for her upcoming features on neurodiversity and postpartum health. If this conversation resonated with you, please share this episode with a friend and follow us at Quiet Connection Podcast on all social media platforms. I want to hear from you too. If you'd like to share your story on the show or in our new written features, visit quietconnectionpodcast.com or email me directly at chelsea@quietconnectionpodcast.com. Join us next time when another story is told and you realize you are not alone. I see you.